Welcome back everyone. As most of you know, the iPhone 13 Pro Max actually ended up coming out, so let's go and compare it against the iPhone XS and see which specific iPhone you should go and pick up. Now if you want to pick up either one of these things, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now starting off with the outside of both of these phones, the iPhone XS has a smaller 5.8-inch Super Retina OLED display. Now it's a little bit over Full HD, which is great, and this was a very good panel. I didn't have really too much to complain about it when it first came out, and it's still very good. The main thing about this phone is that it's a much smaller phone than the iPhone 13 Pro Max, but it's still a very good looking phone, and as I mentioned, I have very few things to complain about this panel. Now with the iPhone 13 Pro Max, you have a 6.7-inch Super Retina XDR OLED panel. Now it's a higher resolution, it's a much bigger panel, and it's a much heavier phone than the iPhone XS, but a big thing to keep in mind is that with the 13 Pro Max, you are getting that ProMotion display, and this is one of the best assets about this phone. The fact that you can just pick up this phone and have a ProMotion display at 120Hz, you can pretty much move on with the rest of your life and really not have to worry about a crazy amount after, because this is pretty much future-proofed for a while. So in terms of the front, the 13 Pro Max definitely wins. You are getting that flat side on the 13 Pro Max. We have the curved side on the XS, still great, lightning port at the bottom, and on the back, another little difference. The iPhone XS has that glass back, where the iPhone 13 Pro Max has a frosted glass back. This is another big asset for the 13 Pro Max. It feels so much premium in the hand, it looks so much better I think, and it feels just like a $1 million phone. The XS still feels very premium too, but it's crazy how much a frosted glass back and a little heftiness to the phone can actually improve the overall just feelability or whatever it is for this phone, how good it feels essentially. Did I just make up a new word? Also on the back of both these phones, we do have the camera setups. Now with the iPhone XS, we have a 12 megapixel wide and then a 12 megapixel telephoto lens. With the iPhone 13 Pro Max, we had a 12 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel telephoto, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor. Now I did do a camera comparison between the iPhone 13 Pro Max and the XS Max, and I pretty much found that it was, the landslide victory for the 13 Pro Max. You're getting such a solid camera on that thing. You can do 4K at 60 on the back of both of them, which is great, but you are still getting a much better sensor on something like a 13 Pro Max over the iPhone XS. So if you're somebody who just wants to go and pick up their camera and just get the best camera quality right now, the 13 Pro Max is definitely the better way to go, but the XS is still a pretty good sensor, and if you're using apps like TikTok or Instagram or something, you're going to be getting very similar camera quality on both of them, to be honest. But you are getting that ultra wide sensor, which I've seen a lot of people utilize, so that may be a better choice for some of you. On top of that, on the front, you have a 7 megapixel front facing camera on the XS. The 12 megapixel front facing camera on the iPhone 13 Pro Max though is a better sensor, 4K at 60 there versus 1080p at 60. So ultimately, I would highly recommend getting the iPhone 13 Pro Max. It's a much better camera setup. You're going to be getting just a much better just camera overall on the 13 Pro Max than on the iPhone XS. So in terms of that covers it up there. Now another big thing about both these phones is the software. Now both of them are rocking iOS, which as always is one of the best softwares out there. I love iOS a lot. It's stock and there's not a lot of bloatware. But a big thing to keep in mind is that with the iPhone XS, that actually came out in 2018. So that is a 3-year older phone than the 13 Pro Max, which just came out. So if you're trying to get the iPhone that's going to last you the longest amount of time, the 13 Pro Max is by far the best one you can go and pick up for this specific case. The fact that this thing is going to be supported for that long is a massive thing to keep in mind. And again, I don't think you want to go pick up a phone that's going to be outdated. So the XS is still going to be here for quite a bit of time. It's not like tomorrow it's going to be outdated or anything. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is going to outlast the iPhone XS for sure, without a doubt. So in terms of that covers it up there. Now performance wise, this is another pretty big thing. With the iPhone 13 Pro Max, you have that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 6 gigs of RAM. With the iPhone XS has that Apple A12 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigs of RAM. So this is what I can tell you about the performance side. Starting off with the iPhone XS, this is still a very solid performing phone. I don't want to give the impression that the iPhone XS is not a good performing phone or that it's slow or anything, because that phone can still handle pretty much everything you're going to throw at it. Now, if you're trying to go and edit up crazy amounts of video, if you're trying to do such crazy multitasking or insane gaming, I still think at my core that the iPhone XS can support it. It's just going to be a little bit slower, but if you're okay with kind of, waiting out a little bit in the standpoint where you can save some money and get a cheaper phone, then I really don't think you're going to notice that big of a deal. I think the biggest differentiating factor more so is the ProMotion. That phone literally feels so much faster than the 13 Pro Max just because of ProMotion. That is like one of my favorite things about it. But honestly, if you're not expecting like crazy amounts of performance or trying to do some crazy stuff with your phone, you're going to have a really good experience on the iPhone, XS. However, on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, this is where things start obviously getting a little bit different. You're going to be getting such a solid performing phone from the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and even though in some of my comparisons I've kind of seen that the 13 Pro Max is getting beaten by its phones like the 12 Pro Max every once in a while or something like that, I still don't think it's that big of a deal, mostly because this phone just came out and it's going to take a little bit of time for it to actually go and pretty much get improved in the performance in the software landscape. So that is a big thing to keep in mind. I think with the 13 Pro Max, it is the fastest phone, one of the fastest phones right now. I think it's definitely the fastest iPhone, and you would probably be in a better situation if you were just to go and pick up that iPhone and pretty much just move on with your life. Now, if you want to get the cheaper one, I think the iPhone, XS is still a very solid performing phone. Like, it is unbelievably still like a really good phone. But if you want the fastest phone, I'll definitely go for the iPhone 13 Pro Max. So in terms of that covers it up there. Now, finally, I have to tell you guys, the iPhone 13 Pro Max's battery life is so much better than you may even realize. That phone has such solid battery that it's unbelievable. I would say that the iPhone XS probably lasts like half the amount of time right now as the iPhone 13 Pro Max, but that mostly has to do with my XS. It's gone down, in the battery degradation a little bit. It's not a crazy big deal, but I will tell you, if you're somebody who wants to go and just pick up a phone and have the best battery life or one of the best battery lives, you're going to be getting such solid battery life from the iPhone 13 Pro Max over the iPhone XS without a doubt. So in terms of that covers it up there. And to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, I think the iPhone 13 Pro Max is the much better phone in every single area. There really isn't a specific spot where the iPhone XS beats the 13 Pro Max. I pretty much have found that the 13 Pro Max is the better one, and I would highly recommend you guys to pick it up. If you have the money, you can't really go wrong with an iPhone 13 Pro Max. There are some areas where the iPhone XS is a little bit better just because like in the price tag area, it's a little bit cheaper there, so it makes it a little bit better of a value. I think that's kind of one advantage of it. I think the build quality and the display still look really good. I think the camera quality is not bad. Like, I think this is still a very good phone overall. But with the iPhone 13 Pro Max, you were just getting a better phone in almost every single area. So you can't really go wrong with the 13 Pro Max, but you can't really go wrong with the XS. If you have the money, go for the 13 Pro Max. If not, the iPhone XS is still a very good phone as well. So in terms of that pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.